I want to welcome everyone to our 10th meeting of the 46th year of the Rotary Club of Dublin and Worthington. Today's invocation and pledge will be offered by Tim Modes. So Tim, hopefully you've unmuted yourself.
I think so. Can you hear me all right?
Yes. Okay. And Tim, could you do both the invocation and pledge?
Will you be in an attitude of prayer with me? Lord, make us an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is discord, union. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that we may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all of your many blessings. We thank you for each person here and for the technology that brings us together. We would ask that you would allow us to serve you as we serve others through Rotary. In your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to
the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tim. The President-elect, Steve, do you have or see any guests beyond our guest speakers?
I'm looking in case they just popped in, which I don't think anybody did. We do not have any guests aside from our speakers today. So we will move right into happy dollars. And Ro said she had a happy dollar. So let's hear it, Ro.
I do. So as I shared earlier, today is mine and Bill's 42nd wedding anniversary.
Woohoo! Very nice. That's a lot of years. A lot of good years, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, yes.
Along the same theme, I've got a couple happy dollars for the fact that I'm picking up a new family member and a wedding this weekend. My middle daughter is getting married on Saturday, and we're going to be very happy to celebrate that with her. Most of the guests will be on Zoom, and she'll have a full wedding later in 2021, but we're just very happy for the couple.
Yeah, fantastic. Congrats.
I have some happy dollars, Steve.
Sure.
So I've got 3 today. First off, Jim reminded me when he gave his happy dollar that when he gives happy dollars, he actually mails me money to put into the Rotary account for his happy dollars. So happy about that. I am happy that Worthington Schools had a great start with hybrid. I think things are going well at this point. So it was a great week last week. So really happy about that. And I got to spend this whole past weekend with my 3-week-old granddaughter, and I just got to sit and hold her and cuddle all weekend. So it was the best ever. I'll eventually get some pictures up on Facebook, but not quite yet. I'm getting there. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, those are 3 great things to be happy about. That's fantastic.
I've got
Anybody
one.
else with a happy dollar? Go for it.
My oldest daughter officially submitted her Gold Award Girl Scout proposal. So we should hear something at the end of this month as to whether she can proceed with actually doing the service project or not.
Nice.
Good.
Very nice. Anybody else? One more. Can we get one more? Darn. All right, back to you, Jim.
But Steve,
Oh, yes.
I
Bill.
just wanted to say that I'm glad I'm back to the opportunity to say hi to everybody again and see everybody again, and enjoy the work and efforts that this group has put together over the years. And look at those faces, the new faces, pardon me, the old faces, or the more mature faces. Looking at you, Roger. And those who have made this club that what it is, which is an amazing, amazing history. So thank you, and I'll send my money, Jennifer.
Thanks, Phil. You got a
Good to see you,
credit.
Phil.
I'll take it against that.
Okay.
Since Phil brought it up, this isn't a happy dollar, but I'm not going to wait for announcements. Your club is putting together a community service project, and some of you have already volunteered, and we'll be looking for the rest of you to do the same. But we're going to try to collect items for the Dublin Food Pantry and the Worthington Food Pantry on some Saturdays, hopefully coming up. And so watch your emails for future details, and as we get this organized and try to beat the weather.
At this point, actually, Jerry's already started with the announcements, and I encourage everyone to get involved with this service project. It's highly needed. Both pantries are stretched quite thin, and we need to get involved. And it is good for us, I think, as a club, to have our first major service project during the pandemic, and we all need to kind of pitch in and be part of it. So please do take the time, volunteer with Jerry for assistance and the folks that will be sending out schedules for that, and begin collecting items. I've already got my bag started. So please do get involved. Other announcements?
Morning, everybody. I am, it's Alan here. I'm really happy to announce that we are going to have our first hybrid rah-rah of the year. And we're going to do that by supporting Polio Plus. It's going to be on Tuesday, the 20th from 5:30 to 7:30. We can have up to 36 people at the Rusty Bucket. And anybody else is welcome to join on Zoom. We'll have that technology set up. So if you're out of town, that's no excuse. You can still come. Or if you don't want to come to the restaurant, that's okay too. We'd love to have everybody join us. And we're asking that a donation of $25 per person be given to Polio Plus. And on top of that, if you haven't already given to Polio Plus and you're contributing to the foundation, that'll make you all 125 Club members as well. So we'll get information on that out today. And we'd love to see as many people participate as possible. Thank you.
I want to also make another announcement in terms of, if you have not turned in your survey, please do so as soon as possible. I'm tallying those, and we should have a final decision by Friday of this week. The one thing that I do have to say about that is if in fact we decide to move forward, we will probably move forward on Wednesday, the 21st, as our first hybrid meeting, which doesn't require you to attend unless you wish to do so, but we'll need your registration for that meeting when we send out the email regarding the announcement. We do have a good number in, but it's only about half the club. So please do, if you have not sent it in, please send it in, because we do want a good sense of where everybody is, whether or not they're going to be on Zoom or attending meetings and the number of meetings. So please do get your survey back in, and we should have a formal announcement by the end of Friday. Any other announcements? Okay. Before we introduce the speaker, I just want to remind you, you will be on mute, and until the speakers at some point complete their presentation, and then we will take you off mute and you can begin to answer questions. So Bill or Jenny, whoever kind of completes your formal portion, please indicate so by asking for questions. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Jennifer, could you introduce our speakers?
Yes, today's presentation, Melissa's House, is about giving hope to those with mental illness, which I think is especially challenging during this COVID time. I learned about Melissa's House through my work as their accountant for the past several years. And actually, this is the first time I'm meeting Jenny and Bill kind of in person. So it's really nice to get to put a face with their emails. Our speaker, Bill Hall, is also a member of the Tri-Village Rotary Club, so a neighbor of ours. And he has been on the Melissa's House board and served as their treasurer for the past 3 years. He brought with him Jenny Schoening, who has been involved with Melissa's House for nearly 10 years, and she is a mental health advocate. So welcome, Jenny and Bill, and go ahead. I think, Bill, are you going to get started?
I am. Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for having us today, and greetings from Tri-Village Rotary. They are also Wednesday morning breakfast meeting, so they are Zooming also as we speak. And it is great to meet Jennifer. It's thanks to Jennifer that we're able to speak today. She got us introduced and got us on your schedule, so thank you so much. I thought I'd let Jenny Schoening introduce herself and a little bit of her background.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. First of all, I learned something this morning. I learned that you guys support polio eradication, and my mother had polio when she was 6 years old. So I'm going to give to that fundraiser you all are having. So that was great news to hear that you support that. So my name is Jenny Schoening. I have been involved, as Jennifer said, for 10 years with the Goldbergs, who are the founders of Melissa's House. I have a personal attachment to mental illness. My son, how I met the Goldbergs, my son was diagnosed with schizophrenia as a senior in high school. And I had seen a news report about Melissa's House, and it was just after he was diagnosed, and they were trying to build a house, and there was a lot of resistance from the neighbors. And I got on after the 11 o'clock news, got on and supported Melissa's House, and wrote in the comment section that, you know, I guess this is the world that I have just entered into, and it made me sad. And Elaine Goldberg, who is the mother of Melissa, called me right away and talked to me for about an hour that evening. So that I tell that story just as an illustration of how much their heart is in this, and they are just really great people who are trying to make a difference. And since, in addition to Melissa's House, I also do a lot of advocacy in the city with mental health first aid, and sitting on committees, various committees with the Adam H. Board, who is will be on your ballots for a levy. So I encourage you to vote yes on issue 24 as well. So that's me.
And my involvement with Melissa's House began about, well, my board involvement just 3 years ago. At the same time, Jenny and I joined the board, but my family have been friends with Jenny and her husband and their family for years. So as we learned about most closely, that was our closest firsthand experience with mental illness was through their family. And then a couple of years later, we experienced it also with one of our sons, and his mental health challenges created significant challenges in his school life, his professional life, and his marriage. And so it's things like that which make you advocates around something personal, an issue to you. So that's what brought us to Melissa's House. I'm going to screen share now and use the help of a PowerPoint presentation to tell you a little more about us. So, and there we go. So, Melissa's House, this is our mission. We restore hope for those living with mental illness by renewing existing spaces to create warm, comfortable surroundings for those who live, visit, and work there. So we provide funding and help create warmer, more comfortable environments. We remodel, actually, is what we're doing to create a more healing environment. And the story of Melissa's House illustrates why that became our mission. The brief version of that story, we were founded in 2006 by Nate and Elaine Goldberg. Their daughter, Melissa, was diagnosed with schizoid affective disorder at age 24 and spent years in and out of various mental health facilities. And Nate and Elaine were frustrated by almost all of them, and they found it hard to find a treatment resident which was supportive in its physical environments, not its clinical treatments, but the supportive in providing that warm, nurturing environment that's necessary. They never found it. Melissa died at 36 from a brain aneurysm related to her inability to take care of herself, and she was at the psychiatric ward at OSU Medical Center when she died. And that spurred the Goldbergs' mission. And let me allow them to tell you a little bit about the mission through this video. I should say, because they'll reference this, that the original mission of Melissa's House was to purchase purchase a home, remodel it, and manage it as a residence for adults with mental illness. That mission changed in part because of what Jenny shared, and that is neighbors were resistant to that happening, having a residence like that in their neighborhood, but also that's a very expensive proposition, and it was decided here a few years ago that Melissa's House, the organization, could benefit more people by, instead of managing one home, but by raising money and helping all these existing residences create better environments. But so this video will talk a little bit about a resident, a home, but you'll know that the purpose is the same. We just broadened our mission.
There isn't a place where people with mental disabilities can live comfortably and live a life like everybody else. We don't want another family to have to live through the pain and suffering that we and so many other families are going through. She had the most compelling laugh. I mean, you didn't forget her laugh and her smile.
She was a really good athlete, very smart. She was a very talented musician.
Everything was enjoyable about Melissa. I mean, this is the last thing that we would have ever anticipated.
She suffered from severe mental illness. My sister was in a facility where the only way she was able to go outside, the rule was you're allowed to go outside if you smoke. So she took up smoking.
You walk in there and feel defeated immediately.
When your surroundings are negative, it's very easy to be negative yourself.
It's hard to go to sleep at night envisioning that your daughter is in this place you just walked out of and left her. She ultimately died at Ohio State, the psych ward, in 2006.
Our vision for Melissa's House is to create an environment for individuals with mental illness to call home.
Warm, loving, that they can hardly wait to come home to it.
I think we all have a choice of what kind of legacy we want to leave our community. It would mean a lot to her that she will make a difference.
Mental illness touches everybody's life somewhere, somehow. And we can't go under a rock anymore. We have to become proactive.
If you want to be a part of where hope lives, get on board.
Let's help give hope that they are not a mental illness. You are so much more. You are Melissa Goldberg.
So that's the story. That's Nate and Elaine, the founders, and Melissa's brother, Billy, was in that video. So I hope that video helps demonstrate the need. And just here in Central Ohio, there are over 1,700 residences for adults living with mental illness. I had no idea that there were that many. And funding is rarely available for what we're talking about. What limited funds are available are spent on other priorities like security or the direct services, mental health services for the individuals. And so our mission is to bring to them money they don't have and direction to create the change in these environments. And in fact, one of the things we learned in this process in talking with the management or owners of these facilities is they will intentionally create drab color environments and using kind of institutional, industrial type of materials because it hides dirt, it hides scuffs, and lasts, and is more resilient to wear and tear. So while that intention seemed right from a practical standpoint, it is entirely opposite of what is important to the residents. And there's a demonstrated correlation between the living environments and one's motivation to heal. This is a quote from a Department of Veteran Affairs mental health design guide for them designing and building their facilities. But these environments motivate an individual's commitment to treatment and sometimes even to live. I wanted to share, we have a member in our Tri-Village Rotary Club, Carmen Savarino. She's Assistant Director of Development at Nationwide, and she presented to our club about their 10-year plan of expansion and so forth, and spent some time talking about their new behavioral health pavilion. And what caught my attention, and I immediately included this in presentation, from the beginning, from the very beginning of the design plans on the behavioral health pavilion, they put, they built into the design these concepts of color and warmth and creating an environment that is conducive to healing. And that was not incidental. The pictures I'm showing you here aren't just there to make it appealing to the outside public or to the visitors. It is by design being built. And I thought if the preeminent behavioral health pavilion in the country is making that a priority, it's a nice proof statement to help people understand what Melissa's House is doing on a smaller scale. And I do note that we were not involved in that. I'm sharing this with you as kind of evidence of the importance of the work that we do.
And if I can add to that for just a second, Bill.
Sure, Jenny.
Not only that, that it helps with healing, but it also, a bad environment has been shown to, increase feelings of alienation and stigma. And with the Behavioral Health Pavilion, they see that, physical health is equal to mental health in this building. And today, we are building a new crisis center which I'm very, very excited about, in Columbus. And they referenced, the nationwide Children's Hospital environment, that this facility is going to be just as nice in its physical surroundings. So that was very encouraging to me as a parent of someone who lives with mental illness.
So our goal is when we approach these facilities, we want to add dimension and warmth, right? So in these common living spaces, both indoors and outdoors, provide places which offer opportunities for reflection, right? And inspire them to their own healing. And there's nothing like letting a resident speak for yourself. And that's what the quote is on the screen. And in presentation school, they tell you not to read your slides, but I'm going to read the quotes. We can come indoors and you've got color. You've got this sense inside, I can do this. And there's life there now. And that was a resident in a facility where we provided money for some work. So here's how we do it. That's what we do and why. We find qualified housing, and that's one of Jenny's role on our board. And so we've worked with the organizations shown there, Community Housing Network, NetCare. We did a large project with the YWCA and National Church Residences and others. And once we've determined that there's a qualified need, we actually do design work with them. We're very protective of our dollars. So we have design partners, King Business Interiors, Brenda Cruz Gallery, Laurel and Wolf Interior Design, and we'll help design what is to be done. And so we introduce the partners because they know what our goals are. But we want to make sure that every dollar that Melissa House grants to these organizations is spent specifically on our mission. And for that reason, we're also part of the implementation. We're not hands-on. We kind of co-manage it, but the money is granted to the organization. They're in charge of contracting and getting it done, but we have oversight because, again, we don't want $1,000 to be kind of channeled over there to where there's been some plumbing issues. Plumbing issues are important, but that's not our mission. Projects are done, and then we celebrate the opening of the new space. We want to share some of our projects. So Jenny, I'm going to turn this over to you, and you just tell me to advance the slides.
Okay, this is the, I don't know if you're familiar with NetCare. NetCare Access is a crisis unit where you would go in an emergency. This is their outdoor space. As you can see to the left is, that was the space. Not very conducive to wanting to go out there and spend some time. So this is before we granted them some money. Go ahead, Bill. And then this is the after. And it's so exciting to hear them talk about, so we've added trees, we've added bushes, we've added benches, tables with, umbrellas, and a labyrinth that the residents can come outside, take a break. If you're having, a really bad day, a really bad session, you can come out, and we all know what it feels like to come out, and just take a breath of fresh air, kind of calms you. And the labyrinth is there for reflection, meditation, just a space where they can get away, but also a space where they can gather. And that's another thing that we are very proud about, is that we're creating spaces where where the patients, the consumers can come out and build community and be together. Isolation is one of the worst impacts of mental illness. You tend to isolate yourself, and that's not healthy. And also the gym, that was we put a floor in, and the wall, that was just you could see the storage area, like a netting. So we added that as a place for recreation, and you don't see it here, but we asked somebody from CCAD to come and build this beautiful, or paint this beautiful mural in there as well. Briggsdale, as you can see, we granted them $30,000. They are we partner with the Community Housing Network, and that is the 1,700 residences that we referenced earlier. So they manage the places, but they don't have the money to make these places comfortable for their community. So Briggsdale is 35 studio apartments, and they had, you can go ahead and go up one, Bill. So they had, it's clean, it's spacious, the community spaces, but they were very dark, and as Bill referenced earlier, kind of on purpose. They were dark and drab and, very dated. So you can see we redid the kitchen here, the before, and then the after. We brightened it up, white, track lighting. We like to add, art, and just make it a more, comfortable, welcoming place. Go ahead. So we did the same for their community room. And again, we hear from the residents that, they want to come down and they want to spend time in a place. As you can see, the before, that doesn't look very inviting. It was, just okay, but not some place you would want to spend any time. So we added carpet and paint, and we like to say it's not just about the paint. It's about bringing the community together. Okay. Miles House is a part of NetCare Access. So you go to the community or the crisis center in crisis, and then you can also go afterward to, it's a temporary housing for maybe up to a 2-week stay to kind of get stabilized and continue your recovery. So go ahead. So this is it was a very old house. And the whole first floor we renovated, and we took out all the old mismatched furniture that's, and I talked about stigma before. It's kind of like when you walked into it before, it's kind of like the afterthought. It's like, okay, what can we put in here to just, make it livable, but not comfortable. So we, as you can see in the after there, we replaced it with really nice furnishings, lighting, art again, just make it homier. And again, express again that these places have money for direct services. They have money to, for support staff and counseling. They do not have the money to make it a healing physical environment. Okay. So again, this kind of shows, I think that before, and this really shows the afterthought kind of thing I was talking about. Kind of like, okay, well, let's just put whatever we can in there to make it, everyone have a seat. And then on the after, we replaced it with a nice long chair, again, building or table, again, building community. We replaced bookshelves and paint and artwork. Okay. Oh, in the kitchen, we totally replaced the kitchen. It was really, really outdated. And as you can see, it's a nice, white bright recessed lighting, great countertop, just a nice place to be. And then the outside, we built the benches, and again, a table for the residents to come outside and gather and build community.
So I want to tell you just a little bit. So that's examples of our work. How do we raise money? And then we can take some questions. We're a fairly small organization. We've been around for over 10 years and haven't done enough of introducing ourselves, just like this morning. But we have an annual event. It's called Play for Melissa's House, our main fundraiser, which includes a golf outing, as many of these events do. But attached to that is a semi-formal dinner called the Dinner for Hope. And this event accomplishes a lot of goals besides just fundraising. It helps us create more awareness about mental health, giving recognition to people in the community, and a big thank you to our donors. In 2019, this was held at New Albany Country Club. To help with awareness, you may have heard of Gabe Howard. Gabe was diagnosed with anxiety disorder and depression, and then later with bipolar disorder. When he reached recovery, he became a mental illness activist, and he has written books and he speaks. And he spoke to a very large room of folks, some of whom were golfers and had been on the golf course all day. And for 15 minutes, there wasn't a sound in the room. Gabe's story was so compelling, and that's important to us. That's important for us to help others who don't have that firsthand experience or awareness about mental health issues to learn. We also have an annual award, the Hope for Healing Award. Patty Eshman, who was, I think was at this point, I think she retired, Vice President of Community Affairs at Grange Insurance. We recognized her for her work in the mental health community. She had over the years given much direction to Melissa's House and introduced us to people that help us raise money and advance our cause. And of course, we have an auction and fundraising events also. Unfortunately, as with so many people, we could not do Play for Melissa's House or have our Dinner for Hope this year. So we had to get creative. This spring we did a kind of an impromptu campaign to support the National Alliance on Mental Illness in Ohio, NAMI Ohio. Jenny saw an article, they were having a terrible time supporting residences throughout Ohio where adults with mental illness are living. So these are technically our same beneficiaries. But their normal activities include buying important supplies and delivering them. Well, in the time of COVID, the mental health issues were exacerbated. They can't leave their home, and access to critical supplies was even worse. So we with about, I think, 2 or 3 days notice, we launched a campaign. We raised almost $10,000. We matched it with another $5,000 and donated that to NAMI. And then as an attempt to replace the money raised from our main fundraiser and Dinner for Hope, we launched our first complete virtual campaign or email-based campaign. It was a multimedia, multi-channel campaign, had a series of videos that it was intended to be educational, talking about the need, just like we've been talking to you this morning. We interviewed residents and as well as management of these organizations. And we featured a project, a target project, our next one from National Church Residences. It's called Commons at Grant is the name of that location. We were hoping we could raise $40,000. We raised over 50. We haven't closed out the books on that. If there's a possible way to forward a link to this group, we'd welcome anything you could contribute to that. That's far less than half of what we'd raised from our main event, but we couldn't be happier about it. And we think the approach actually probably reached some people that we wouldn't otherwise reach. We're always looking for potential engagement, people who can help or organizations, underwrite all or part of a project of ours, provide in-kind services or products. If you have skill sets that help us implement projects, those are welcome too.
And also, Bill, if I can interrupt,
Yes.
also if you know of any qualified housing, anything that that we would qualify for us as a project, we would love to hear.
So yeah, so those are the ways that you can help, and we encourage you to join us in our mission and help restore hope, either by small or large donations or any of the ways we just described. And I guess let me close out by the words of a resident, and I'll shorten this, and I want to close with a video. But Patricia, I'll do some pulled text here. She said, "At times when dying looked much easier than living, people like you, Melissa's House, came in my life and gave me hope. And thank you for being in my life. Thank you for helping so many others that cannot help themselves. May God's richest blessings consume you continually." And this video, we created an animated video which uses her words, and I'll use this, and then to close, and we'll field questions.
Coming out of the hospital, I felt like this was the only place that was available to me. I felt like I was in an institute, and you feel that dreary atmosphere, that Great Depression, where you feel like you're walking through the dark. When I came in here, I hated living. I didn't want to live. Now, I don't have to accept that darkness. We need light. We need light. We need change. We come in the doors and we've got color. Green is life. And you've got that sense inside. I can do this. Melissa's House is phenomenal. Their compassion, it has made a big difference. There's life here now. There's hope. Thank you for giving hope to the hopeless.
So that's all we have here on the screen. Our board members. I hope this is a current list. We've added some new folks. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see you. And Jenny and I'd love to field any questions if you have them.
So I'll start, Bill. Thank you, Bill and Jenny. I think, and I'm looking at the comments here, I think we all learned a lot about mental health and things we don't know. One of the things that impressed me from what I've seen lately is so many nonprofits are not doing well, and you have done fine in these COVID times and surpassed your goals, and you're a very small group. Where are you getting your fundraising ideas? Is it your board? Are you using outside consultants? How are you coming up with ideas that are actually generating income?
That's a great question. For those two campaigns that I shared with you, the NAMI Ohio and the kind of the virtual campaign, give all the credit to Jenny. She spotted those opportunities just through her own interactions and communications within all the work she does. She saw the article about NAMI Ohio and their need and brought it to our board. And then she saw an example of an online campaign that was successful, and again, brought that to the board. We looked at it and said, let's see if we can put that together. So Jenny, you can add any context to that.
Yes, thank you, Bill. But as you said, we are small, and we generate ideas on the board, and then we pulled in a marketing person to execute the email campaign. But other than that, it's us.
That's what I figured.
And that's why, our board is we have one employee that does administrative work. So our board is definitely a working board. We do all the work, which makes it very satisfying when it's a success, right? We've done it and made an impact.
I am very impressed with any fundraiser that makes over $100,000. How many years have you been doing the golf outing and dinner?
Well, I know the golf outing has been, Jenny, 10 years at least.
Yeah.
The dinner at the Dinner for Hope, there was always a dinner per se following the golf outing as the kind of the golf outing template would go. But we just recently wanted to make the dinner frankly the premier part of that day, not the second phase of a golf outing. And that was a great decision to make. It just changed the entire character of the evening. We have a lot of people attending the dinner that didn't participate in the day. That more formalized dinner is just very recent change, but the golf outing event has been happening for years. And I think what we hope, there are a lot of generous companies out there who want to support not-for-profits. We were questioning how many large donations can you get for golf events? And we thought if we had a more formal dinner function with recognition of executives in the community and things like that, that might be a better appeal on top of the golf event to a Grange Insurance who might be willing to spend thousands of dollars as a sponsor, type of thing. So I don't know, Jenny, if you have anything to add to that.
No, except that, the other goal to have a dinner was to, pull in people who, aren't golfers.
Yeah.
So you could just come to the dinner, and also to have the speaker important, to us is education and awareness of mental illness in general. So that was the point of that.
Mike Moulton, I hope you're paying attention.
Jenny,
Mike runs our golf outing.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I was gathering that. Yeah.
I'm paying attention, but our golf outing's not for profit as well.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just gathering ideas.
Yeah.
Jenny,
and I think, I'm sorry. I think that there was a lot of resistance at first that people people who have been there all day wouldn't stay for the dinner, and then would people just come for a dinner? And there was a little resistance, but it does work. People do stay if it's fun and it's nice, and people do come just for the dinner. It makes a whole different vibe, when all the people come who haven't been there all day too.
And one of the things we did, and John, I know you wanted to speak up, just to finish comment on that. When we made this change in order to bring attention to the new formality of the semi-formal, but the formality of the dinner, we used a series of email to registrants and to our database, previewing what the dinner would be all about. We previewed the speaker. We previewed the winner of our award. We have pretty extensive auction. We previewed the auction items. So there was a drumbeat in the lead up to that, so people would understand that this is a very different post-golf dinner than what we had been doing. Sorry about that, John.
So thanks for your presentation today, Jenny and Bill. I wanted to ask you, your first slides indicated there were 1,700 facilities in Central Ohio? Could you talk a little bit about those facilities?
Well, that's through the community housing network. So I think most of them are supported housing. So like in the, well, actually the money that we just raised will go to a supported housing facility that has 100 residents. So they're single studio apartments, but it's supported in that, you know, they have counselors there, they have staff there, that if the resident, it's independent, but they have support. So there are many of those around, some big, some small. Like the other one was maybe 35 people. They are there. There's a greater need. There's lots of people waiting for housing. There's a great need for that. There aren't enough, but they are there. Yeah.
Yes, I have a couple questions, actually. First of all, could you speak a little bit about what happens after the project? How do they get maintained? Are residents or other folks in recovery, are they involved with the project? And finally, do you reach out to those facilities that are called day treatment or clubhouses or prior resident facilities that are peer support?
Yes, actually, we just did. Wasn't in our. There's a facility called the Peer Center here in town, and it is a day, a drop-in center where you can go, for respite during the day. They have programming for how to get a job, how to support groups, all that stuff. And we just completed that. They have one on the east side and the west side. And we just completed that project as well. Totally, the same thing, paint, furniture, I don't know what else, it doesn't come to mind, but, and I do a lot of, I'm on a lot of committees, and one of the peer support specialists at the facility, he didn't know what I did, with Melissa's house, and he was talking about it and saying what an uplift it was for them to watch. I mean, these people are used to being kind of set aside, not paid attention to, second-class citizens, and for them to walk into a facility, and be like, wow, this is really, I want to be here, right? So we have done that. So it's not just maybe where they live, but maybe where people recover. That would be qualifying to us. And we don't do enough of afterward because we're such a small, we don't have the staff to do that, but we do go into our places and check in, and if they need a refresh, we will do that. But it's very well taken care of. Something that's nice, people will take care.
One of the, I used to operate several facilities for children with mental health issues. And the one thing that I believe very strongly is that it's cheaper to go with a higher end, greater investment than not. That damage actually occurs because they don't care about their facilities.
Right.
And they don't take pride in it. And we often had our kids doing a lot of the painting and decorating kinds of issues, and it made such a difference in the amount of damage and upkeep went down. So the investment pays off a great deal.
Oh, that's so good to hear.
Yeah, that's a great thing to hear.
Hey, Jenny, you mentioned the Adam H. being on the ballot this November, which we haven't heard much about because there's other things that are overwhelming us this election. But can you just remind us what those funds support? Because I know it's all mental health.
Yes. So the Adam, I just got a flyer in the mail yesterday.
Okay.
And I did notice a commercial yesterday too. So I think it's coming out. But the Adam H board is the government funded board that oversees, gosh, I don't know how many facilities, but in just what we spoke to today, NetCare, Crisis, the Peer Center is under their umbrella. Lots of counseling, any mental health, major mental health organization is probably under their umbrella. Almost everyone. They go into the schools. In the school systems, the counselors that are in the school systems are contracted through Adam H board. I'm an instructor for mental health first aid that we give first aid classes to the general public. That's all funded through the Adam H board. So they are a major supporter of mental health services in the county. And the need, as we talked about, the need is going to be really, really great because of COVID. So they need every penny they can get.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jenny and Bill, how do you identify the projects that you're going to undertake? Do people write grants or write grant requests or what?
Go ahead, Bill.
No, I think I'd like to think as our name in that community gets better known, they would approach us. But we proactively, and this is yet another hat Jenny has worn, reach out to organizations to talk to them about what we do and see if they have qualified needs. So it's a lot of it is proactivity on our part. And then we do have a grant process. Once we have the qualified need, it goes through a grant process. So it's kind of a grant application after the fact, I think, is the way you'd look at it.
We need to draw the question and answer period to a close our meeting, but I ask both of you to stick around because we have a more informal time after the meeting where people can stay. But I want to release those anxious to get back to work.
Well, thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much for your coming today. Excellent, well-informed, informative piece and bringing up very timely the mental health levy and the amount of need that you're in fact serving in a very critical corner of the mental health environment. Thank you so much for all the work you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, next week's speaker is Dr. Kenneth Yeager of the Stress, Trauma, and Resilience Program at Ohio State University. And he will discuss how do we manage and cope with both our stress and become resilient during these difficult times. So that's Dr. Yeager will be speaking next week at our meeting. If we could have the four-way test up. Yes. Of the things that we say, of the things we think, say, and do first. And please unmute everyone, if you would, Steve. Yeah.
I can't unmute everybody, but everybody can unmute themselves.
Yes, thank you. Again, of the things that we say, think, say, and do, first, is
it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Second, is it
fair
to all
concern?
concerned?
Third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And fourth, will it
Be beneficial to all concerned.
With that, I adjourn the this meeting of the club. You're welcome to stay online and have informal discussion now. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Thank you,
week.
Jim.
everyone.
Thank you.